This was one heck of a Christmas for George Bailey. If you remember, he was a big dreamer, and he wanted so badly to get out of Bedford Falls. His whole life was about, let me get out of this place. He wanted to be a big man in the world, and he couldn't imagine being stuck in that podunk town, right? Got to get out of this place. I actually understand that. I grew up in a little place called Dustin Acres, California. Sprawling metropolis of 119 people. You know? Our big town was Taft, which was 10,000 people. That was big, you know. So I kind of, getting out of there was what success meant. His treasure was going to be found, but it was going to be found somewhere else. It wasn't going to be found where he was. And when he ended up staying, he lost his hope, he lost his peace, his joy. It was all gone. And in the movie, he's standing on a bridge contemplating suicide, jumping off the bridge. He's done. But he had an angel in his corner, right? Let's see, you got this? You gotta help me. There we go. He had an angel, Clarence. Clarence was in his corner. Now, Clarence would have been a good person to come to Arbor Point Church because he was an imperfect angel. He'd been trying 200 years trying to get this thing taken care of, and he still didn't quite get his wings. You know, he was struggling along, and so he would have fit really good. An imperfect angel following the one who was perfect. That would have been Clarence. He was a good member here. But he had the task of helping George to see that treasures don't always mean what we think they mean. Sometimes treasures look very different from what we've been taught or what we may have expected in life. Matthew chapter 6, verse 19, this is from the Message. It says, "Don't hoard treasure down here where it gets eaten by moths and corroded by rust, or worse, stolen by burglars. Stockpile treasure in heaven, where it's safe from moth and rust and burglars." It's obvious, isn't it? The place where your treasure is the place you're going to want to be and end up being. Where we put our treasure is where we want to be. And it's easy to become focused on the things in life, the stuff that people give to us. You know, our tendency is to place most of our value on temporary or temporal things and less on eternal things. And so I wanted to do a little sticky note exercise. I think I've done this before. So let me ask you a question. Is this a temporary or a temporal thing, or is this an eternal thing, this chair right here? Temporary? So we'll put the temporary right there. And I'm not talking about Sean's human body, but is this a temporary or an eternal person right here? Eternal. So we'll put an eternal. It doesn't stick on your head. What do you got in your head? Never mind, don't tell me. Coconut oil. Coconut oil. How about the camera stand? Temporary. Yeah. So it will fade away at some point. What about Dennis? Again, not the shell. Eternal. Here we go. Perfect. Hey, it's stuck. What about our houses? Temporary. Our jobs? Temporary. Really? You mean the stuff that we spend most of our time focused on and worried about is temporary. What about our soul? Eternal. You know how to find a priority, right? I've talked about this too before. Where do you spend your time? Where do you spend your money? And what do you spend your time thinking about? I was at a walk to Emmaus, and when they gave this is one of the talks there. It's a talk that's called Priorities, and it gives you these three things. It says, okay, look at your checkbook. You want to know where you're real, not what you say your priority is, but what your actual priority is. Look at your checkbook. Well, that checkbook. How many people don't have checkbooks anymore? Yeah, look at your bank account wherever it's living, you know, and that will give you a clue. What do you think about and what do you spend your time doing? That's going to tell you where your real priority is. And your real priority is where your treasure is. And that's a hard thing to look at, because I can say that my priority is God, but if I'm not spending any time, or if I'm not investing any resource, I'm not thinking about Him and about the work that He does, then that is not a priority for me. Same with family. I can say my family's my priority, but if I'm not spending time, if I'm not investing resources, if I'm not thinking about my family, then it's not an authentic priority. We need to know where is our authentic priority, because we want to know where our treasure is. The passage that I want to spend the most time with, it's a long passage, it's out of Luke chapter 2. You may have heard it before. It's the story of the Savior. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire. By the way, if you're a guest with us tonight, just know that I ad-lib some in the sermon, in reading. So it's going to be the NIV version with some accents. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea. Jesus was a Nazarene because Joseph lived in Nazareth. These things are important when you get into prophecy. The town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David. Now, it just so happened that Joseph was descended from David, so he had to go to Bethlehem, and it happens that this Messiah was going to be born in Bethlehem, so he had to be born in Bethlehem, and it happened to happen at the same time that Mary was how many months pregnant? 9 months pregnant, so that Jesus could be born in Bethlehem at the same time that this census was asked for, so that he could be born in Bethlehem, because Joseph made Mary go to Bethlehem because they were, isn't this crazy? All this, the dots that have to line up when you start to look at them. Where was I? Rick? He went there to register with, I was going to Bethlehem. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time for the baby to be born came, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths, placed him in a manger because there was no guest room available for them. Now this was likely, we have these nice stables. We got one over here. That's probably not it. It was probably a nasty cave is probably what it was. That was probably the stable. But we like to clean up the story, so we'll go with the manger and the nice cleaned up cattle.
Why not?
So she wrapped him in cloths, placed him in a manger because there was no guest room available for them. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them. The glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified, as we would have been. Angels show up. You're out on your normal work night. You're tending your sheep, and these angels show up. It's like, uh-oh, what did I do now? So they show up, but the angel said, "Don't worry about it. It's all good." That's really not what he said. They said, "Do not be afraid," which is kind of the same thing. "I bring good news that will cause great joy for all the people. Today, in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger." So, back to all these coincidences. So it just so happens that these angels show up in this field with these shepherds who don't know Mary and Joseph. They don't have any idea who Mary and Joseph are. But these angels show up randomly out in the field and say, "Hey, check it out. There's this baby that's going to be born over here. So if you'll go over and look in this stable, then you're going to find a baby, manger, and this woman and this man. So go ahead and go do that." So the angels then took off. They went to heaven. The shepherds said to one another, "Let's go down there and check it out." The angel said it. Maybe it's true. Let's go see. So they did. They went down there, and you know what they found? They found Mary and Joseph and a baby in a manger. How crazy is that? From a field. They had no idea who Mary and Joseph were. And they went down there. And when they saw him, they spread the word concerning what had been told them about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. Sometimes we glaze over this story and we don't realize how incredible what they were told is. They didn't know anything. And the angel showed up and told them what was going to happen, and it did. And then so they went, "Hey, we're going to tell people about this." So they went down to Mary and Joseph, and they told them. And here's the verse that I really want to grab hold of. "But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying, praising God for all the things they had heard and seen, which were just as they had been told. And I know I read that whole story, but really just Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. Where was her treasure? In the message from God that was given by the shepherds. The shepherds came telling her about what an angel had said to them, about the heavenly host who came and how they came to check it all out. And there was what was happened. That was what happened. There was Jesus. It was a moment. It was a moment in history. It changed history. It changed the way we even look at time. You know, before Jesus and after Jesus. That's how time works even. It was a time to treasure. And it had nothing to do with material stuff. It had everything to do with the eternal. If you could capture one moment in your life, what would that moment be? If you could capture one moment, would it be a moment of regret or a joy? What would you grab hold of? A moment from your past? Erwin McManus, he wrote a book called Chasing Daylight, and he wrote about the importance of moments. He said this, he said, how many of us haven't spent many moments reflecting on moments lost, unaware the moments lost in regret are exactly that, they're moments lost. If we could take a moment, seize it, squeeze out of it all the life in it, shouldn't that be a moment in the future? A moment in front of us rather than the past. How many of us have the past that plagues us? How many of us have the past that beats on us? What if you knew there was a moment coming, a divine moment, one where God would meet you in such a way that nothing would be the same again? What if there was a moment, a defining moment, where the choices you made determined the course and momentum of your future? How would you treat that moment? How would you prepare for it? How would you identify it? Moments are as numerous as stars in the sky and sand in the sea, and any of them could prove to be your most significant divine moments. We don't know which are going to be the most significant. And within those moments, a handful will become the defining moments in our life. Some of the choices that we make are going to be the defining moments in our life. And however mundane a moment may appear, the miraculous may be waiting to be unwrapped within it. The miraculous may be waiting to be unwrapped. You rarely know up front the eternal significance of a moment. The moment that you must seize is the one right in front of you. It's this one. George Bailey had to see what the world would have been like without him. Clarence showed him what the world would be like if he had not existed, and all the changes that would have happened in Bedford Falls. And it took that for him to treasure the moments that he had, to grab hold of the difference that he had made, and to recognize that one person can make a difference in thousands of lives, because he did. And I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Enough of this thing. What if each of us, I'll just talk loud, what if each of us impacted 2 people in a year? And those 2 people each impacted 2 more. And those 4 people each impacted 2 more. And those 8 people. And then those 16 people. And those 32, 64, 128, 256, whatever comes next. I could have done it. But you see the point, right? If we invest in 2 people and they invest in 2 people, you want to know how 12 people became billions of believers? They invested in a couple of people, and those people invested in a couple of people who invested in a couple of people. Next thing you know, we have the church. It's incredible what can happen. But how many people do we invest in? What if we did, that's a year. What if we did 2 a month? What if we did 2 a week? You see the possibilities, right? It's Christmas Eve. We're getting ready to open up presents. We're getting ready to receive some treasures that are going to be fun and that aren't going to last very long. But they're going to be fun for a little while. We're going to play with them. We're going to eat them. We're going to, whatever this stuff is, we're going to have it. We're going to faces of kids on Christmas Day make it all the stress and all the strain and all the stuff when they get up and they get their stuff and they're, makes it all worth it for about a week. And then after that, stuff starts breaking and toys get thrown away and all that stuff. But we're about to get to the point of just joy, right? It's Christmas Day, celebrating Jesus. It's celebrating our families. So let me close with this. Don't forget to share the greatest gift, because that's Jesus. Share it with your family. Share it with your kids. Share it with folks you come in contact with. So, what else? I have this rope. So, Teresa, will you help me? Will you walk this around the room and just, give everybody some. Do it fast, though. I'll hang on to this end as quick as you can. Just unravel the whole thing. Just let folks have it and run with it. And at some point, it'll make sense. Oh, wait.
Oh, wow.
As we break the camera. So you see, so she's got a long thing. This right here, Francis Chan did this, and I love the analogy. So this is representative of our life here on this planet. This is the length of time, so we're born and we live, and eventually we're going to die, and this is the length of time that we are on this planet. And what's happening right now is you're seeing eternity spread. The rest of this is what's in front of us. It's eternity. It's where we're going. It's where Guy is today. Guy is with Jesus today, and he's got a new body, and he all that stuff. He has moved from here to here. But how much further does he have to go? He's got a little ways to go still. Where do we spend all our time, and what do we spend our time worrying about?
A little bit. Your dash.
It's the dash, right? And I get it. This is the time that we're in right now, and I don't want to minimize the importance of this life. But there are eternal things in front of us. And if we grab hold of a view of the eternal, I had a friend of mine, Mark Ruiz, and he would always ask this question: what is the eternal significance of whatever he was going through? What is the eternal significance? And he passed away from cancer. He went through cancer for years, and that was one of his questions. What is the eternal significance of cancer? And his answer was? None. None. Now, did it matter here? Yeah. Did it matter the rest? Not even a little bit. Thanks. And it's more. And that's a rope with an end. Eternity goes on. Yeah, eternity. That's what's in front of us. Guys, this is important, but I'm telling you, there's more. There's more. Grab hold of the moments that we have, but know, man, we got a future. We got a future in front of us that's incredible.